Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Darkness Outside of Brokenbranch, a Mythos Investigators series, an original Pulp Cthulhu. I always forget what the Western system's called.
Down Darker Trails.
Down Darker Trails. This is an original created by Cari, our keeper, as her first time GMing this series, GMing anything. So we're very excited to be a part of this, and we will get into the game in just a moment. I do want to draw attention to, well, actually first, before we do anything, I want to let everybody know, one, this is a horror game played by adults. As such, we may be using adult language and talking about very much adult things,
like Texas.
Exactly.
And, I thought you said Texas.
Either way,
Texas is very adult.
Either way, either one of those requires a content warning. So just know that, and if that's not something that you enjoy, go ahead and feel free to find something else to watch. We will not be offended. But know, if you're sticking around and things get a little dicey, know that we have all discussed what our lines and veils are, and we have safety tools in place to keep all of us safe during the game. Next, I want to draw attention to right up here above my head. You will see these strange green dice, and I am going to put one right here for that meta sub from Caeryn. Those are Mythos dice, and they can be used. I think we were using them kind of like we do in the D&D games, where you can use them for advantage, 3 to reroll, or 5 to make our keeper reroll. But we only get those from you, the viewers, subbing, resubbing, gifting subs, cheering, 500 bits, tips, all that good stuff. You help support the channel, and you get us some of these Mythos dice to help us in our game. The last thing that I want to mention before I turn things over to our keeper is just a reminder that you matter. We talk about this before games all the time because it's so important. We talk about mental health. Recognizing that people struggle with a variety of things for a variety of reasons. And first off, you need to know it is okay to not be okay. It is perfectly okay to struggle, but know that you do not need to struggle alone. You can come into chat at any time and type !help, as I have just done, and you will see that there's a couple URLs there. Find ahelpline.com, or you can head on over to takethis.org and check out their growing list of resources. Encourage you to visit those websites, check them out, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I'm going to turn things over to our keeper.
Amazing. Thank you guys all so much for coming back. Apparently you didn't hate it enough to quit, so here we are. A quick recap of where we were last time. We were introduced to, obviously, the town of Brokenbranch, which is a small and budding town in what is now known as Texas, though not Texas as we know it, but that's neither here nor there. We were also introduced to Cassidy, Arcanus, Augustus or Gus, Moses, and of course, Mr. Chick Calloway. And this happenstance little team was hand-selected by the enigmatic Miss Loraine to go check out her silver mine, of which she has not received word in many weeks. Upon agreeing to this job, they decided to have one last little fun side excursion before they left town, and they got their picture taken to very horrific results, as the picture was a horrific, almost demonic image of all of them, certainly not them as they took the picture. So they made their way after that mid-morning little trip out of town, and they started to make their way into the foothills and the mountains where the Schuler silver mine resides. The way is just a large prairie for a time. This gives way to hillier terrain and finally almost mountain passes that must be traversed in single file, though obviously Arcanus's wagon can get through. Otherwise, Miss Loraine would have said something. Following Miss Loraine's directions and the intentionally obfuscated signage, you all eventually find the mine. Are there any conversations or anything that you are talking about on the way out to the Schuler silver mine?
Arcanus is very subtly flirting with Cassidy. That's his that's his prime attention at the moment. He's sort of making small talk about his travels, all the places he's been, the cities he's been to. Been to Chicago, he's been to the Northeast, been to Boston, New York, all the big cities, and clearly trying to impress with his traveling and his knowledge. He makes note of the cloak that he's wearing is an import from jolly old England, where these are still fashionable, and he finds them to be quite useful in all sorts of weather. And they may not be fashionable around here, but it does tie into his stage show, and he finds it extremely useful. But he's sort of talking to her as they're traveling for the most part.
For the most part, Cassidy is engaged in the conversation, very polite with him. Maybe kind of not really, it's not like she doesn't understand that he's flirting, but she's not reciprocating so much. But she's not being rude or anything. She's not like, she's accepting it, but not giving back. But she is very happy with the conversation as he's talking about the East, all the cities in the East Coast and England, in fact. So that kind of conversation is just kind of, it's very pleasant to her, and she will ask questions about the places he's been to, as this is basically reliving some of her past through him as well, because these places are familiar with her as well.
Of course. Gus and Chick, and I suppose Moses Jones, are any of you guys talking?
I'm talking, but it's pretty much a one-sided conversation, as I'm carrying on a pretty steady conversation with good old Eleanor Dumont. That's my donkey.
Mm-hmm. Who could forget
my pack
Eleanor
mule.
Dumont? MVP of the last session, Eleanor Dumont, of course.
I think every time that Arcane, every time that Black in particular talks and says something a little bit grandiose or showy or something, I just kind of not too subtly lean over to Eleanor Dumont and just kind of pull on the reins and say, keep an eye out there. Seems there's a fair extra amount of bullshit on the trail.
So you mean pretty much for the entire trip then?
Yes.
He is laying it on pretty thick. He does it very well, but he's still laying it on thick.
He's skilled. He's an artist.
It's his stock and trade.
Gus, what about you?
Yeah, I'm up ahead a little bit, so I'm kind of riding at the head of the group, keeping an eye, kind of scouting. So I'm not really chatting much.
Of course. Gus, of course, spending time with the Texas Rangers. I'm sure you maybe even volunteered to go out front to scout the way, and obviously that makes sense. And Moses Jones, ever the chatty Kathy.
Moses
Jones. Anybody?
Moses Jones believes that the trip will go faster if he doesn't talk to these people. So
obviously. And you guys are making actually pretty good time. The mine is, Miss Loraine reckons, somewhere between 15 and 20 miles out of town. And obviously it's not all smooth sailing. Eventually, I would say by late afternoon, you guys do come to kind of an opening. Like I said, it has been kind of single file mountain passes for a little while, but then it opens up into
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
A cat.
She said this might happen.
Yeah. Dun, dun.
Yep, our keeper's been having internet issues, and of course that waited until we started the game to start.
Of course.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Cari's either talking to herself and hasn't realized it yet, or is cursing up a blue streak at her computer right now.
Oh.
I choose B.
So Miss Cassidy, tell me about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Well, Mr. Arcanus, I grew up in England, in London, in fact.
Really?
I did, yes. Could not tell.
Well, I try not to assume.
And
Don't
you?
wanna make an ass out of you or me.
And you, where were you born?
Oh, I grew up on the road, to be perfectly honest. My parents never told me the specific borough in which I was spawned, but I grew up in a circus, as you might know, as
Oh,
I mentioned before. And so I spend most of my time traveling around, but I got to see a lot.
must have been hard as a child.
Oh no, it was actually quite a lot of fun. I suppose I've nothing to compare it to normal childhoods, being as they are. But I was never lonely, and it was always exciting. There was always something to see, something to do. I like to think it expanded my horizons and brought me here. In fact, I guess you could say.
Is this where you get the love of the road that you seem to possess?
I suppose. I don't like to linger too long in any one place. Get a little
Never
bored of it.
never having had a house of your own.
Well, you're in my house. It's there's a certain kind of freedom to taking your home with you wherever you go. I'm never not home, you might say.
I had not thought of it that way.
Well,
That's interesting.
it can be a difficult life depending on where you wind up. I do sometimes envy the those who have roots and maybe something more of a stable roof over their heads, but this has comforts of its own, and if I don't like someplace, I move on.
Have you ever maybe wanted to settle down?
Well, I've considered it. If I find the right woman, and he kind of looks over at you and gives you a wink.
She's kind of she caught her off guard because she didn't really mean it that way, but she's like, oh, what did I just say?
As they're talking, Moses is going to be riding up a little bit ahead, and he's going to be grumbling to himself. It's like they want everyone to know we're coming. Clean the bed.
I just lean over after that extra bit of flirtation. I just lean into Eleanor Dumont's ear. Best be watching yourself, Eleanor Dumont. Next, he'll be flirting with you.
Moses is going to ride up to Gus, and he's going to sort of tip his head.
Pinkerton, I think we're getting close.
Yes, I got that sense as well. I hope at some point the two behind us will stop their jabbering and announcing our presence through every nook, cranny, valley, plain, field, hill, between here and North Carolina.
They are something of a vocal smoke signal, are they not?
Yes.
Yes,
And we better be we better be
From behind you, you
careful.
hear a loud voice saying, are we close to getting there yet?
He's going to lean back and he's going to shake his head, and he's going to say, best be careful
Fair enough.
if you follow behind him. The path might be lubricated by a significant amount of wax.
Okay, in that case, I totally understand what's happening. You do eventually get to the silver mine. I don't know what the last thing you heard is, so I'm just going to start over. You
That's
come to a clearing. Like I said, for the last several hours, it's been mainly mountainous trail, which is kind of tough to traverse, but eventually it kind of opens up into this clearing. And in this clearing that kind of butts right up against this mountain, you see a series of probably 7 or 8 large tents, tents that probably could house each 3 or 4 men. Miss Loraine, you'll recall, told you that she sends these men out for shifts that are essentially a couple weeks long, and then they will come home and live with their families for a month. It's very much like oil rig guys or like crab boat guys. So basically, you get the hint that men have been living out here at least for a while, and the camp outside the cave looks very well lived. It looks very broken in, and like men have recently lived here. So you come upon this scene. What do you do?
Is there any smoke rising?
It's a great
kind of-
question. You see several outside. These tents are kind of arranged in like little pods. So like there's like a little clearing. There's 3 small campfire areas where you get the idea that the men in each of these little pods have had a campfire, but none of them are still smoking. No.
Still cold. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a few minutes to kind of go to the different campfires, through the different tents, just trying to get a feel for when the last time there was any kind of activity in the camp itself.
Gus, go ahead and make me a spot hidden check, please.
You know what? I'll go ahead and use the bonus die on this one.
Okay, absolutely. Use a carry as you will.
Yeah, that's a 10. So that would be that's a
Wow.
hard success. Yep.
Yeah, hard success. All right. So here's what you find. This is actually one of the things I said on a hard success. So look at you. You actually find among what are the possessions of these men, it's actually sitting on a crate that is sitting beside a cot. So this is kind of serving as what you would imagine as an end table. It's a little book, and it's a leather bound book that has like a not a locked latch, but like a leather like tab essentially that keeps this shut. And I mean, I assume if you're investigating, you take a look inside.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So inside you find just kind of the normal entries that would be in a journal. This man, his name was Joseph. He has a family that he misses very much. But in the back, after several blank pages, in fact, almost the entire journal is blank pages, you get the idea that he has maybe just started this journal. In the back, you see a list, and it's a list of names. And it's a list under the heading of the word trust with a question mark. And there are several of these names, and you'll notice a couple of them are crossed out. And that's all. You really don't have any context for that. And I'm going to actually, you said you got a hard success?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say you noticed this too. As you're flipping through this book, you notice that there's like a texture, a weird texture on the back. And if you take a look at the back cover, you will notice that it almost looks like this was used as a hard writing surface. And you can kind of almost see the indentations of words. You can't exactly quite tell just now what the words are, but it looks like it is one largely written word or phrase.
Okay. Are the journal entries dated? Can I see like when the last entry was?
Yes, absolutely. So the most recent journal entry was actually 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk it over to Moses Jones.
Mhm.
You are you Pinkertons, you do the detecting stuff, right?
That's right.
Maybe you could take a look at this, and I'll point out what I saw on the back of it. I'm more of a tracker myself, so mysteries, but I'll point out the list in the back, and it's been 3 weeks since he wrote anything in here, and it looks like this camp's been unused for quite some time.
Well, Miss Loraine did say that she hadn't heard from her workers in a considerable amount of time. The timeline seems to line up. And he'll take a look. And he'll take a look at the book. He'll examine it as Gus described and see if he can make anything out that Gus may have missed based on his experience of detecting.
Go ahead and make a spot hidden check. And I'm going to say you can make it with a bonus die because you are a detective.
All right. What does that mean?
It means you roll the tens die again and you take the better of the two. It's kind of this game's advantage.
I see. Okay. Well, that's convenient.
Arcanus is going to park his beasts some distance away from this, get them settled so they have something to eat, some grass.
I'll come back to Arcanus in just a second.
Yeah.
I got something for you as well.
Okay.
I made a. What's the one below hard?
Extreme.
Extreme.
Oh,
Or
no. I made a hard
worse,
success.
just a hard success. So I'm going to say because you're a detective, you notice this indentation too. And now that it's out, I imagine Gus was looking at it in the tent. Now that it's kind of out in the sunlight, you can really see like the sheen. And it looks like you can make out the letters U-N, and you can make out that this is 2 words. You can only see this first couple of letters.
He's going to take out
that is
immediately. He's going to take a pencil out of his jacket pocket and he's going to run it along the whole page to see what as soon as he recognizes the first letter, he's going to immediately do that. And then he's also going to look and see, he's going to gently pry the pages apart to see if there were any pages that were removed that might not have been obvious at first.
So I will get to the pages removed first. You will notice that there is a on the page that says trust, there is a page towards the front of the journal that has been ripped out. But other than that, you see no other ripped out pages.
Okay.
When you make this etching, this rubbing, you will see the phrase unum solum. And it is definitely 2 words, and it was written in a hasty hand. Very clearly this man's handwriting, but the pencil or graphite or whatever he was using was pressed hard, and it was hasty. And Kaeryn, yes, in the side chat, that is exactly how it's spelled. Mr. Black, when you go to try to find somewhere to hitch your team, you kind of make your way over to what seems like a natural spot. And as you make your way over there, you hear the sound of a horse. And
one that's not one of mine.
It's not one of yours. And it is looking very tired and very weak and maybe very hungry, probably. And it is hitched out front of this mine.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll sort of, mine are well trained and so forth. So I'll just quickly get out. I'll go into the back, get a couple of feed bags, hook them up, and fish through my stuff. Maybe get some kind of bucket or a bowl or something like that. Put a little bit of feed in it, and walk it over to the other one. And I'll kind of while I'm assuming if he's that hungry, he'll eat right away.
Oh yeah, he dives into this bucket practically.
Yeah. And while he's preoccupied, I'm going to give him a quick look over. Does he have any kind of saddlebags or?
Yes, this is
okay.
This is a fully saddled and outfitted horse. You get the idea that Loraine mentioned that she sends this team out, but then she will also send a single man out and back and forth to send word in case anybody gets hurt or in case they're out of supplies or whatever. Right. She'll send him back on a weekly or several, like every 5 days. So this could possibly be this man's horse. And on the bridle, if you look very closely, you will, well, I'll tell you what, make a spot hidden just for funsies, just for shiggles.
Sure. That is 3 short of a regular, so I'll just spend the luck.
Attaboy. That was a good usage of the luck. On the bridle, you see that there's a little brass nameplate that is kind of stamped into the leather that says Bullet. And this is clearly this horse's name. Gotcha.
So I'll just kind of be patting him as he's eating, keeping him calm. And I'm going to quickly take a look at the saddlebag, see if there's anything of note in there.
Sure. So I'll count that spot hidden check for this as well. In the saddlebag, you find nothing remarkable. You find you have a couple trail rations.
Just something.
You have
nothing.
Pocket knife in there if you want to rob this guy blind. I guess you can take it, but there's a canteen. No other weaponry really. It's just this guy's stuff.
Okay. I will check the canteen for water. Okay, and if there is, I'll put some in the bucket for the horse once he's done with the feed. I'll basically spend like maybe 10 minutes taking care of the horses.
Sure, absolutely. There is water in there. It's about halfway full. So the horse, if you do offer this to the horse, it will gladly partake.
Yeah.
So you all kind of investigate this camp. Is there anything anybody else wants to do in this little tent village?
How close is the tent village to the entrance to the mine?
It's like right there. It's probably 20 feet away.
Especially as the others are going to investigate the camp. I'm more interested in the entrance of the mine, looking for signs of recent activity, checking the state of any available tools, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So what you would see, Chick, because this is kind of your scene, right? Like you've been a prospector. I imagine you maybe have worked in a mine at some point in your life. You would see there are tools around where there would be tools. There is a crate where men have clearly kept their headlamps that is mostly empty. So it looks like there are men that have gone into this mine, possibly even like this morning, it looks like almost. You see pickaxe marks. This mine looks like it's in really good shape. It is large. The entrance to this mine is huge. And Loraine had kind of boasted about the size of this mine. But this thing is gigantic. I would say the entrance alone to this mine is probably 30 feet across and probably 15 feet high. The gateway to this is huge. And Chick, I'm going to have you make a spot hidden check as well.
As I'm standing in the opening of this mine, and just kind of looking around, I imagine with the size of it, you hear a little bit of an echo as I just go, this ain't no mine, this is a goddamn cave. That is an extreme success. I rolled a 9.
Wow. So that is that's awesome. What you would see is you would notice the signage on this mine that hangs over top of it, and it says Schuler Silver Mine. You obviously didn't need a extreme success for that, but
It's the
you
signs in the
also
back and back of the cave.
it's huge, and you see it. Congratulations. You also, however, you also see a notice that is actually, it's just like a piece of paper. It's maybe this big. So meant to be noticed, but it looks like maybe it's been there for a while, and it's just nailed to one of the wooden beams that kind of make the entrance of this. And this notice simply says private property trespassing will result in harsh penalties from both the town of Brokenbranch and referral of the matter to the Texas Rangers. So Loraine has kind of intentionally kept like the location secret. The way here, you would be like turning right at a cattle skull, turning left at a tree that's shaped funny. Like she has kept this place under wraps. So in the event that anybody has found this place, this is clearly put up as a last-ditch effort to keep them out. And anybody else doing anything in the tent village or at the entrance of the mine?
What I think on the way back to the group, once he's done sort of making sure the horses are stable and not going to go anywhere, he's going to take sort of a roundabout way and like walk around the sort of the perimeter of this area to see if there's any kind of tracks leading to or away. Because these people, it looks like these people obviously just disappeared, right? Like, you know,
Sure.
Were they attacked? Were they attacked by
Good question.
by Indians?
Well,
were they coyotes, wolves?
Of course.
So
Go
he's
ahead
kind
and
of
make
looking for any sign.
obviously. Go ahead and make a spot hidden.
All right. All right, that's better. That is a hard success.
That is awesome. Okay, so with a normal success, what you would notice is that this just looks like a well lived in area. So you would see essentially the middle of this area is all padded down and grassless, like just where the men have been walking around back and forth between their tents. It's kind of this clearing that gives way to taller, scrubbier grasses. And with a hard success, you would notice out behind the tents, it looks almost like a sheep trail, where the grass is grass still, but it's like padded down. And it kind of leads away from the camp a little bit, actually. It's just like a single man wide.
Okay, but it's just like one path.
It's like one path that kind of goes off behind like some trees.
Okay. He says, kind of calls over his shoulder, Mr. Jones.
He'll walk over without saying anything.
And he'll just point to the trail, assuming that Mr. Jones will make something of it.
Yeah. Can I recognize what their tracks? Like,
it's not really a track as much as like a beaten down path. Like it's just it looks like there are like footsteps that go to this in the dirt, but then it's just grass that's like kind of been beaten down. So I'm gonna say, Gary, you can make a either natural world or you can make a investigation.
all right. Natural world, no. Investigation.
Or investigation isn't a thing. Knowledge.
Tracking would work.
Tracking would work. Yeah,
Sure,
do
I can do
tracking.
tracking.
Track. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Shit. No, that's I failed.
Oh, dang it. Bummer. So you see this trail. You don't see anything spectacular. It goes off behind a tree.
One thing I do want to check before, because I am going to go walk the trail. You said there were footprints at the base of it. Are they coming toward the tent camp? Are they going away from the tent camp? Or is there a bit of both?
Bit of both. Good
All
question.
right. So he's going to follow the trail.
Of course. So you follow this trail. It goes off not very far at all, maybe 20 feet. And it kind of ducks behind a tree. And you would notice a lot of dead grass at the base of this tree, and you would notice the smell. This is clearly where the men have been taking pisses. That's it. Nothing else is behind this tree.
Yeah.
Should I spot hidden to see what they've been eating? No.
You're more than
okay.
welcome to do.
I'm going to return.
You can try.
I'm going to return to
Jerky
the
and nothing
camp,
else.
and he's going to say, privy.
Arcanus just nods and continues just going around, and then meets everyone sort of at the middle of the camp once he's done making his circuit.
Mhm.
How are the tents tied down?
Good question. They are just staked into the ground like normal tents. They seem pretty sturdy, but they really don't need to be. There's not a ton of wind up here because it's blocked by the mountain.
Great. So, how many tents would you say there are?
So there's 7 or 8. We'll say 8.
Sure. So, Moses is going to go to each tent. He's going to remove 2 of the 3 stakes. He's going to toss them over the side where it's still connected to the ground. And he's going to see if the sunlight reveals anything in the interior of the tents that might have been missed from a more cursory investigation in the shadows.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're just kind of taking a couple of the tents down, essentially. Is that what I'm
All
hearing?
of them.
All of the tents. Oh my gosh. Okay. So these guys are going to be pissed, presuming they're still alive. But
Oh no,
yeah.
they're surely dead.
Oh, well, I mean, no one said that, Gary. Anyway, you never know, I guess, but so no, you find just kind of again these guys' stuff. There are signs everywhere that this was just another day of work. Among their trappings, you find Bibles, letters to lovers, clothing, and spare headlamps. But nothing super spectacular. Just kind of their stuff.
I don't want to linger too long here because I don't think we'll find much more. But does it look like things were abandoned, like in the middle of things, like with their cups out, or with
That's
the
a
things
phenomenal.
that was sort of left out, or did it look like they packed up and finished?
That's a great question. In fact, because of that question, I'm going to have everybody go ahead and make a spot hidden, please.
Oh,
everybody make a spot hidden.
16.
That is a hard success.
Hard success as well.
Extreme success.
Nice.
Triple zeros is 100, right?
Yeah,
Oh my
that's the
God.
worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a bad.
I didn't pass that one.
You have some dirt in your eye.
That's what I got looking for the shitter.
You stared into the
That is
sun.
not the check you want to fail, Dwight. Let me tell you that.
Dwight, Gus, unfortunately, is he's looking at the fires and going, well, these were campfires, and that's about all he sees. The rest of you, Gary, I didn't hear what you got.
I got a regular success.
Regular success. Okay, so with a regular success, you would notice again that this just looks totally average. Like there is nothing special about this campsite. It's just where these guys worked. With a hard success or above, what you guys would notice is that it is almost like these men were freaking raptured. It looks like they were in the middle of work and they're gone. It looks like they have been gone for a while, and it looks like to say they left in a hurry doesn't even do it justice. They look like they vanished. It's hard to describe.
So not really a sign of a struggle, just
No,
just
you
poof.
see no blood, you see no weapons. There is not the smell of gun smoke in the
Okay.
air. It is just they're gone. So, all right.
Moses is going to grab the headlamps. I don't know if anybody brought headlamps, but he will distribute them to the group as necessary. This might come in handy. These men clearly won't be needing them.
I'm gonna.
You find a whole box of them.
I'm gonna walk Eleanor Dumont over to where Black tied up his horses or left his horses, and where this other horse was, and take a moment to introduce Eleanor Dumont to the other horses, and then just sort of reach into the pack and pull out a apple and feed it to Eleanor Dumont, and feed it to some pieces of apple to the other horses, and then just pat Eleanor Dumont and say, well, mine's no place for a pack mule, old Bill, or Eleanor Dumont, and just kind of leave her there.
I take it
and just
back.
say,
His name isn't Bullet, it's Old Bill.
And I'll just grab a couple, like my personal pickaxe. I think as I turn away, I take a second, I pause, have a second thought, and I go back and grab my rifle.
Okay.
I have a pistol on my belt, but I'm going to grab my rifle.
Okay. You never know. Anybody else grabbing anything before we head into the mine?
Arcanus will grab a lantern from his wagon. Is it right if it's one of those sort of railroad ones that has the spotlight on the front?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he'll kind of shake it, make sure it's full of kerosene before heading on. But yeah, he'll get that ready and carry that along.
I'm making sure my rifle is ready to go.
Ready to go.
It's loaded, checked. We're good.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Calloway, is you're the expert in mining? Is it would it be dangerous firing a loud firearm in such a situation in a mine?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. If we're in a situation where we need to be firing weapons inside a mine, that's probably the least of our dangers, is whether or not it's safe.
Well, that is maybe, but I just want to know if we need to maybe get someplace a little more duck against the wall or under a beam or
a common way to make headway in these mines is they're often blasting with dynamite. So I think we'll be all right if we have to pop off a couple bullets here and there. Let's just hope it don't come to that.
Good to know.
Okay. So you guys kind of make your way into this mine. By the time you make your way inside, I'm going to say it's around 4:00 in the afternoon. One thing Miss Loraine did share with you before you all left town is that this mine is in places cavernous enough and tall enough that if you see things like stacks of wood that these men keep, you actually can have a little fire in here without fear of smoke. So she says the men will have kept piles of wood in the places where it's safe. So if you find a pile of wood, you can have a small fire, and you might need to, because this mine is obviously very expansive and you might be in here for 2 days, 3 days.
Did we just get a tooltip that just said you can save your game at the campfire?
You can, damn right you can.
Knowing the games that use campfire saves, I'm a little concerned.
Yes, maybe. Who knows? Not that there's anything dangerous in here at all, but we'll see.
We're stopping at every campfire.
Yeah. Spin some runes to level up.
1000%. This is where we spend our XP. This is all normal. So you guys make your way into this mine, and specifically Chick, you would notice that as you make your way through here, this is, other than being huge, this is the hugest mine you have ever seen. It is largely unspectacular. It is just a silver mine. You notice that the largest tunnels, the ones nearest the entrance, are more or less picked over. The further in you get, the more silver you start to see poking out of the walls, which is, it is a very clearly rich mine, which is why she takes such good care of it. And I would say you guys walk for something in the ballpark of an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it is now pushing 5 or 6 o'clock. And you just are starting to suspect that maybe these men just ran off. Maybe these men are just kind of, who knows, they just quit working for Miss Loraine. But the longer you walk, and the more you start to think that maybe this was a wild goose chase. you start to see some things. I'm gonna have you guys go ahead again and make a spot hidden.
Oh no.
A regular success
No.
for me.
Same.
Regular
Yep.
success. Regular success. Fail for Alex there.
Fail.
Okay.
Fail.
Fail for Jake. Fail for you. Okay. So, we'll say Gus. You start to think that maybe you hear footsteps. Obviously, you are hearing your own footsteps, that of you and your friends. But you start to think that maybe you hear an additional set or two. And it's not coming from behind you, it's coming from up ahead of you and to the left of you, and maybe even above you.
I'm gonna.
Cassidy, yeah, go ahead.
But I stop and I'll just kind of hold my hand up. I've got my rifle out, my carbine out in front of me, and I just kind of hold my hand up. And I'll just stop and listen, see if I can get a beat on where it might be coming from.
Yeah, Arcana stops and listens.
You guys start to hear, in addition to these steps, which, by the way, stop entirely. You start to hear dripping water. And not flowing, but definitely dripping water. You will notice you have kind of gone down into this mine as you have gone in. You haven't just gone straight in or, God forbid, up. You have gone down. So you start to hear the sound of water. Cassidy, in the back of the party, you hear right when Gus raises his hand, you hear like one last quick, small set of steps.
I would spin around to see what made that, if I could see. Yeah.
You don't see anything. You just
must
heard
be
it.
maybe the echoes of our feet. Sound can play tricks on you in these places. I understand.
But can they speed them up? What I heard was definitely a running.
You sure
I suppose maybe.
Sure it weren't wings.
Oh, bats could be. That wouldn't surprise me.
On cue, almost right when you say the word bats, a flock of 30, has to be 30 to 40 of them, go right over top and through all of you.
Arcanus has his hood up and he sort of, sort of reflexively, kind of hunches a bit.
Chick
not
doesn't
really afraid
move.
of bats, but
Chick doesn't move. I want to know, how does Moses Jones react to the bats?
Moses Jones looks up, looks down, covers his eyes with his hat, hears the bats are gone, lifts his hat and looks up again.
Okay, amazing. Because of this
actually,
weirdness,
I'd like to retcon one quick thing.
Please do.
He'll still do the cloak thing, but he'll go over to Cassidy and like gallantly toss his cloak over her shoulder and over kind of over her head, sort of, shield her a bit.
What a gentleman. Because of this weirdness and just the first kind of scare, I'm gonna have everybody make a sanity check.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's that roll again?
So
your sanity is Alex. Go ahead. I'm doing things.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's right in your character sheet.
So
it's
basically
the same
your
as your power. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You have to roll. You have to roll under it, and you cannot use luck or anything like that for it, unfortunately.
For our last game where I had like 85 for sanity, I am not as confident in this game.
I failed.
You failed. Okay.
Success. Arcanus. Yeah.
I also failed.
Okay. If you succeeded, you are going to take 2 points of sanity damage. If you failed, you take 5. This cave is starting to play tricks on you, I feel.
Ooh.
Okay. So you guys hear this running water, and there's really no side veins of this cave yet. It's still just kind of one path. eventually you do start to hear this dripping get louder. And if you just continue forward, as I assume you do, you come to a large, expansive cavern. And in this cavern, you would notice part of it does appear to be flooded. I'm talking, this cavern is probably 50, I'm going to say 30 yards across, and it's almost a circle. And about 20 yards away is where it starts to dip and it looks flooded. And this water actually looks surprisingly deep. Go ahead and everybody make spot hiddens for me.
Those bats unsettled me. That was a very, very, very bad roll.
Dang it.
Success.
Nothing.
I'm
Awesome.
imagining the headlamp I was given is on the fritz.
Probably.
It just keeps going. It keeps doing that classic.
Damn
I
electricity.
failed.
Useless.
I have a high spot hidden too, and I failed.
Oh, bummer. So if you, did anybody succeed? I didn't hear. I apologize.
Regular success.
Success. Okay. Back to our theme of footprints. You notice footprints. You also notice a pile of wood. This is clearly one of these areas that the men have maybe decided to make camp a day or two in here if they plan to go further into the mine. They don't want to make this 2-hour walk again. You also notice one set of footprints going towards the pool. What is this flooded part of this cave? And you would notice that there are more going towards the pool than there are going away.
Mr. Calloway, do you suppose they could have been mining in here and there was a sudden influx of water and they drowned? I mean, has that happened before in mines?
Oh, sure. Mines flood. You tap into an underground river or spring or something like that. Yeah, that's where this stuff comes from.
That would explain why they're gone. If they were working in this particular area and then they broke through to some sort of hidden aquifer and
don't explain why. If that were the case, if some of these souls were lost to the water, where are they?
Are you guys looking at this pool or examining the area any further?
Are you asking me an existential question of life after death, or?
No, I'm asking you where their bodies are.
Oh, well, out there somewhere, I assume.
Yeah, I would have followed the footprints and sort of walked up towards the edge of this water, just kind of looking.
I'm assuming, since they weren't mentioned, by the way, that there are no like tracks or mine carts or any of that kind of stuff. It's all hand.
So
stuff.
there were some mine carts for the first hour of this walk.
Okay, so
but after a time, there have not been anymore.
Okay, so there's nothing like that around here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the deeper, getting into the deeper parts of the mine, and hasn't been built yet.
Okay.
What you, Chick, I'm gonna give you go ahead and make a second spot hidden. Redemption time.
There we go. That is a regular success.
Wonderful. So, Chick, it puzzles you for a minute what you see as you look into this pool. You swear to God that at the bottom of this pool, you see something blinking at you. It is a single, what looks like a golden spot at the bottom of this pool, blinking at you. And it's blinking in kind of a frantic, frenzied sort of way. It almost looks like it's doing Morse code. What you realize is that there's something reflective at the bottom of this pool, and it's blinking as your headlamp is on the fritz. So as you're looking down into the pool, it's blinking with your headlamp.
How's Arcanus's lantern? Is it? You got a bullseye lantern. Is it functioning all right?
Yeah, it's a bullseye lantern. It's fuel.
I just reach over to you, and just not aggressively, but I just reach over and I kind of take my headlamp that's on the fritz and I kind of push it into your chest, like, here, take this. As I take your lantern and I start holding it up over the water.
Okay. Yeah, he's interested in what he's looking for, so he doesn't protest.
Sure.
But so he'll kind of look over his shoulder at what he might be trying to look at.
You would see at the bottom of this pool, and Arcanus, now you see it as well. There is something probably you would estimate about this big at the bottom of the pool that is yellowish and reflective almost as a mirror.
Gold.
You would see that this water is probably somewhere in the ballpark of 5 feet deep.
That's bad.
And it kind of like goes down into it. Obviously, it's not like a drop off, it goes down in. But this is probably, I would say, 8 feet off of where you guys are standing, which is still dry, and it is at the bottom of what appears to be 5 feet of water. And I heard you say it, Chick. By your estimation, it does look like it might be gold.
Well, I don't know if there are any swimmers in this group. I wouldn't ask Miss Williams did, of course, but all right, so
she's an Olympic diver. Thank you very much. You just don't know.
Actually, Arcanus immediately begins taking off he takes off his cloak and begins to disrobe. He's basically going to be going right down to his skivvies.
Out of propriety, Cassidy averts her eyes.
What a lady. Amazing.
In fact, Arcanus actually sort of steps a little bit into the light where Chick is sort of shining the lantern just so he can be seen as he's undressing.
Absolutely, 100%, like a pugilist. Amazing.
It's not obvious, but he's sort of like, he sort of takes a step forward. Yeah, exactly.
Fixes his mustache just a little bit.
Glances over his shoulder.
Gus and Moses Jones. One of your party members is getting naked. You don't know why. What are you guys doing?
Are you planning on going in there? That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, but gold. And he genuinely doesn't understand what you're talking about. Like
Moses is gonna sort of shout over Gus's shoulder. Good luck. Let us know what you find.
So Arcanus, absolutely. Yep. You make your way into this pool. The water is cold. It is.
I mean,
really
Arcanus is actually pretty tall. So I mean, he's not even really going to have to tread water, I don't think. Sure. What did I do for his height? I think he's like 6 feet or something like that. But he's definitely more than 5 feet tall. So he shouldn't necessarily have to like tread water or anything. But he wades in and sort of then kind of shrugs down and then begins sort of feeling around with his foot.
Okay.
For this.
So I'm gonna say, before we get to the whether or not you find the gold with your foot, Gus, go ahead for me and make a spot hidden.
It's a 52. That is. I will spend 7 to make that a success.
Okay. Gus, you swear for a second you see movement in this pool, and it is not Arcanus. It looks to you like it might be a snake or several snakes.
Whoa. Mr. Black, I think there might be some moccasins in that water. I would highly recommend you do not go in there.
They are going towards Arcanus.
He's in the water?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just start yelling, get out.
Always steep. He looks back and looks around and his self-preservation kicks in over the gold and he sort of backs back. He sort of retraces his steps backwards, knowing where he stepped, and he'll sort of, quickly sort of back out of the water.
And I run to the edge, but I don't get in it. I just reach out and try to grab and pull him.
Arcanus,
he'll
make
reach
a
out with
spot.
his hand.
Arcanus, make a spot hidden.
Sure. 21. That's success. Let me check. It's a hard success.
Arcanus, this water has nothing in it.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, spring water. It is very clear and very clean, and you can see that this water is empty.
Chick, can you shine the light over here? I don't see these snakes that you're talking about.
Yeah, as soon as Gus mentioned snakes, I immediately start scanning the water as well, and shining that light right around everywhere that Arcanus is.
Do I still see them?
You see nothing as well. Gus, no, you don't. Maybe you were mistaken, but my God, were you sure? You were sure.
Yeah, must be. The light in this kind of situation plays tricks on you. The ripples in the water, and I appreciate your concern, though. Thank you.
As you guys shine the light and are really looking at this water, you obviously see this gold glimmer at the bottom still, which is just calling out to Chick. But another thing you guys see is that beyond this water, at the edge of this pool, where the cavern, kind of the wall goes upwards, you see that at the base of the water, under the water, it looks like maybe it goes further in. Like there's a tunnel underneath. And you can tell it doesn't look like it goes in very far, but there's something in there, and you would swear to God that you see light coming from inside that little tunnel.
So he says, "Chick, could you share? I'm gonna go down and see if I can get that that gold whatchamacallit. But if you can shine the light over there, I'll see if I can. You see where I'm pointing?" And he kind of points it out and says, "If you keep that light focused over there."
Yeah, I see it. You keep describing what you're gonna do without actually doing it. Are you actually gonna pick up that gold?
Well, yes.
Why are you describing everything you're doing before you do it? That's weird. It's not like anyone's listening.
I know. All right, so he'll dive in and he'll sort of wait out, and then when he gets close enough, he'll take a breath and go under and sort of feel around for the gold bit.
As you feel around, you do come upon a smooth, what feels like a plate. You get an idea that this might be like a belt buckle or something, but you can't really tell. It's very cold. Your fingers go almost instantly kind of numb.
Yeah. So for now, he'll just sort of grab it and sort of hang on to it, and then he'll come up and get a breath of air, and then move to the other side and see if he can. Does this slope down beyond as it goes, or is it pretty much 5 feet?
It gets a little bit deeper. It does kind of level out. So you said you're over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
I would say this gets to be about 6 feet. So you might be just kind of struggling to touch the ground, but just barely.
All right, so he'll go out and he'll sort of breaststroke out a little bit, and then when he gets there, he'll make sure the light's in and take a breath, go down and underneath.
Wow, brave soul. So Arcanus, I'm gonna actually have you make what would holding breath be? A con check, maybe?
Con check, yeah, I would assume so.
Con check. Go ahead and make a con check for me.
All right.
You're right, Kaeryn.
That is a fail. If it's gonna be a problem, he'll spend luck to succeed.
Okay. I don't think you need to spend luck, but here's what happens. So as you're swimming, it's not very far at all, but you kind of panic for a second because you realize the farther away you get, the darker it gets, and you're not entirely sure what's down here. I'm gonna say make a sanity check for me.
Okay.
Because you catch something and you're not sure where you're at, and you're kind of running out of breath.
Side note: swimming in the darkness is a real fear I have.
Oh God! Yeah. Oh, don't you worry. There you go.
Then I guess it's a good thing I did it. Regularly, success on that. So
success. So you're gonna do. So it was a D10. You take half, so you still take 5 sanity damage. Yeah, I know.
Ouch.
But you eventually make it through to the other side, and you burst up out of the water. Pause on that. We're going to go back out to the main cavern. Cassidy and Moses Jones, I want you guys to make a spot hidden for me, please. And we'll say go ahead, Gus, you go ahead and make it too. Chick, you're too focused on making sure this light is where it needs to be.
Hard success for me.
Wow.
Regular for me.
Gary, you're muted, my friend.
I'm going to spend 5 luck and get an extreme success.
Wow. This is, oh my God, this is perfect. Okay. So as you guys are just kind of standing there, essentially waiting for Arcanus to be the big effing hero, you hear again behind you. You hear that like almost fast footsteps, little footsteps. It's closer this time. Cassidy, you would almost swear, because of your experience and because of your hard success, that this is a child. This sounds like a child's footsteps to you, and you know this sound quite well. And Moses Jones, with your extreme success, you swear you see a child. And you hear pop, 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 and you hear these footsteps stop, and you swear you see a child duck behind this pile of wood. That's what you see.
Okay. He's going to shout at the pile of wood, "Come out here."
A log falls off the top of the pile of wood.
I said, "Come out here."
And Moses Jones and Cassidy and Gus, you see out from behind the pile a tiny little face and eyes that are just wide, but not super wide with fear, but instead like he's gotten caught doing something naughty. And you realize to your sinking stomachs that Colin has followed you into the mine. And with that, we are going to take our break.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll be back with more Creepy Children in the Dark Mine, or whatever this is called, in about 10 minutes. Stick around. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Welcome back. We're going to open on Arcanus Black, actually, bursting out of this water. Arcanus, you are in a very small cavern. It is probably only, in contrast to this gigantic space that you just swam out of, this has a ceiling of probably only 7 feet. So it is like, it's very low. But there is a little cavern here. It is probably 20 feet across. Also kind of domed, but again, the highest point of this dome is like I said, 7 feet or so. And on the dry area of this, which is also not very big at all, you see a crate, and on it you see a piece of paper. What do you do?
Okay. Am I getting light in here, or you said there's, you can see a little bit of light?
There is unexplainably, there's a candle lit in here.
Oh,
that's just the light that you saw that guided you into this cavern. There's a candle lit.
All right.
How it's lit, you have no
as
idea.
he sort of shivers and his his teeth are chattering, I'm assuming at this point, he's looking around for anyone, or even an exit, like a door or a passage opening or anything. Nothing
The
like
only
that.
way in or out of this room you see is the way you came in through this.
And how big is this candle? Is it like a stub, or is it, a massive candle? I mean, what?
It's probably this tall. It is about the size around as a nickel.
So it's just a tape, sort of a taper, or
just a table, and so this crate that it's sitting on, it looks like it has been treated as a table.
That makes no sense.
I know.
So he'll sort of climb up onto the dry area, or walk out onto it, or whatever.
Okay.
And
what
sort
you
of,
see,
sort of hug
yeah.
himself and go over and he's not going to touch and the first he's going to kind of look it over. Maybe he'll hold his hands over the candle to sort of warm them up a bit.
Mhm. Yeah. So you see Arcanus, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take something back. There is a little tunnel, but it looks like you would almost have to crawl to get through it. You didn't notice it at
Okay.
first because it is a dim
All right.
room. But it
Yeah.
is low. It is probably only 3 feet off the ground, but it's a tunnel that goes somewhere. It looks like it goes maybe in and to the right. But on this table, you see, well, this little thing that's being treated as a table, a crate.
Yeah.
You see a map.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to have you make an intelligence check or an idea check.
Okay. Idea. Pretty idea. No, that's not it. That's a fail.
No, this is a map of something, and you're not exactly sure what, but you would notice that there are some X's on it. There are several X's.
Is it just sort of like lines, or I mean,
It's
can I? Yeah, I mean, okay.
You are smart enough to know this is not like a map of terrain. This is not like a what do they call it? A topography map. It's not like that. It's not a map of a city, but it is a map. You can tell it's a map.
All right.
You also see sitting there on the crate a letter, and it is written in a hasty hand. It's written in a hasty hand. You wouldn't know whose hand. If Moses Jones happened to be here, he might. But anyway, the letter says, "Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah, it was nice because it was legible, but okay.
Of course, yeah, it's legible. It's written sloppily, and there's a couple misspellings here and there, but you can decipher them easily enough. And it says, "Jasper, I told you this mine was the strike of a decade. Silver in every wall, crunching under every step. All we need to do now is dig out another escape, so we can siphon the good right out from under her nose. There's so much of it in here, she'll never even know it's gone. I have a good place. One is marked here on the map. Get the boys together, make a plan, then get digging. The future's ours, brother. Love, Jonathan."
Okay.
And you would see that there is an envelope sitting there, but obviously this has been an unsent letter.
Yeah. All right.
And then as you look back at the map, I'm going to actually, you know what? Because you read the letter and you're a smart guy, I'm going to have you make either an intelligence or an education check, and you can take whichever is better.
I'll do intelligence probably. 49 out of well, actually 60 for intelligence. So I made it. Regular
you made
success.
it. You would now notice that you're looking back at it, that this is a map of the mine. As you have noticed it and you have observed, this looks like it's a map of the mine. And the X, you would notice, is in a part of the mine that you have not yet made it to. And so you gather through both this letter and this map that maybe this is where they are digging a back way out of this mine.
Okay. Is this this crate makeshift table, is it empty, or does it feel like there's something in it?
It feels empty. Yeah, it's just
All
something they've been using. It says dynamite on the side of it. But it feels empty. Wouldn't have a candle on it otherwise.
Yeah. All right. So he's going to fold both these pieces of paper and he's going to put them in the envelope.
Okay.
And then he's going to pour some of the wax onto the envelope.
Ooh, what a smart cookie.
And he's basically going to try and get as much wax on and kind of spread it around while it's still warm. He wants basically to try and waterproof the outside of the envelope as much as he can.
Smart. Very smart.
With the hot wax. And it actually feels really good because his hands are so cold to have this hot wax in his hands, So
absolutely.
And so he'll just kind of crude, but just enough where he just sort of pours it on, pours it on.
Sure.
And just kind of
I'm just gonna say, because I can't find a reasonable roll, I'm just gonna say that works. And if you want to make your way, if you obviously are planning to hop back in the water, you may. Yeah.
As soon as I mean, he may take a quick look like out the through the in that little hole to see if he sees anything, or does it just go off into darkness?
It kind of goes off into the darkness. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he doesn't know there's a little kid now that can go down in that little thing. So
no, he doesn't. And on that note, we're going to go back out to the big cavern. While all this is happening, you see little Colin peek around the side of this wood pile, and he kind of like comes out with his hands up, and he's like, before you say anything, I'm going to say, Mrs. Williams, that I think this was more or less your fault because you canceled school. So there was nothing for us to do. There's nothing really fun in town. And it looked like whatever you guys were going out here to do was going to be fun.
Oh, heaven's sakes, Colin. You gave us a fright.
I didn't mean to. I just didn't want you to see me because I knew you'd be mad. You look mad.
I'm going to be mad. What about your mother? She is going to be so worried about you.
She doesn't know
When
yeah.
you don't come home tonight, she is going to know for sure.
I didn't
you're
know
missing.
how far you guys were going. I just hopped into the back of what's-his-face's cart, and I sat in the back, and I was just really quiet. And I wouldn't have even had to be. He is a talker.
You just hear Chick just gives just a little bit of a snort laugh.
Now, what are we going to do with you?
I mean, I'm here now, and I can't get all the way back. A coyote could get me or something. So why don't I just come along with you?
Moses is going to look disdainfully at Colin, and then he's going to glance over at Cassidy, and he's going to say, I suppose we can't eat him.
Colin's face drops.
Well, I do have a pretty good recipe for a barbecue kid.
He almost, it looks like he shrinks like 5 inches, and he's like,
I'm just messing with you, boy. It's okay. Look, Miss Cassidy, now's probably not the best time for scolding. We'll have time for that on the way back. You are in trouble, young man, but who amongst us hasn't gotten into some trouble when they was young?
I didn't.
Of course you didn't. You are a stick in the mud.
Colin looks like he's gonna laugh, but he is still very scared about being in trouble, and now he's starting to think about the ramifications of his actions. And he's like, Mrs. Williams, did you see all of those bats? There had to be 40 of them.
Yeah, at the mention of the bats, Cassidy just kind of shudders a little bit, because she did not like that experience very much. Enough talk about bats. Now, if you're going to be with us, you need to be quiet, and you need to follow our lead exactly and do as you are told. Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
And with that, Arcanus bursts up out of the water.
You're muted.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, he'll breaststroke till he can walk, and then kind of come stepping out of the water, and he'll immediately pick up his cloak and sort of throw it over his shoulders, and he with a shaking hand he'll hand this I guess to Jones, since he's seems to be the de facto investigative individual. Mr. Jones, there was a small cave on the other side, and I'm not sure how, but there was a candle lit, and not a big candle. But I found a letter and a map here while I get dressed.
So someone has been here not too long ago.
It would have to be that it was not a big candle, and it was hard. It was not fully burned.
Well, at least
down.
Then we know that at least some of them are alive.
I would say within the past, maybe 3 hours, depending on the height of the candle.
I have a quick question. What did you do with the thing that you found in the bottom of the pool that was
I was
glimmering
literally
and
about to say the almost exact same thing.
Never mind.
He hasn't mentioned it yet.
Check.
Because what he was going to do is while he has his sort of cloak up and he's getting dressed, he's gonna take a look at it.
Okay.
See if it's valuable.
So you've just been kind of absent-mindedly carrying this with you this whole time, and it feels
Because truth be
like
told, that's really the only reason he went into the water. because
100%.
he thought
but-
it was gold.
Yeah. So as you pull this up out of the water, you're just kind of dragging it with you and like talking about the map and whatever. As you pull this up out of the water, you notice it is a belt buckle on a belt. And it is clearly gold. But as you pull it up out of the water, something else squelches on the shore, for lack of a better word. And you look down and it is a human pelvis.
Oh. Yeah, so
Colin is talking to you, Cassidy, just about all the stuff he's seen and all the things that he's seen in this cave and how much fun he's having, and he has not yet noticed the pelvis.
My hand immediately goes and covers his eyes.
What are you doing?
Put that away, Mr. Black.
Put what away?
Where would you like me
Is
to put
he
it?
naked?
Not again.
Yes, but that's not why your eyes are covered.
Don't worry, there's nothing to see. The water's clearly cold.
Williams, stop. I won't look. And he kind of like pushes your hand away. And
I will fight to kind of cover it because meanwhile, I am like indicating to Arcanus the pelvis on the floor.
All right. He'll just reach out and pick it up and like, kind of move it out of the way, like behind him.
Point of clarification.
Yeah.
When you say human pelvis.
Yeah. Don't feel like that needs clarification, but go ahead.
It does. Do you mean a human pelvic bone or still with the meat attached?
That is a fair question. A human pelvic saddle. That is the bone for those of you with biology degrees. Just the bone.
It's not like there's flesh and skin and all that there. Okay.
Meat and grizzle and all that.
You use the word squelch, which kind of...
Yeah, so it's just wet and there's gross wet, like sandy,
for some reason,
area.
A pelvic bone just seems a lot less frightening than...
I know. The pelvic bone is just like, if that's all it is.
I mean, it's still not a great thing.
No, but it's better than with meat attached, obviously.
Yeah. So, but he'll take a look at this belt buckle. What is there a particular style? I mean, a gold belt buckle is kind of unusual, especially if it's that big. That's
absolutely.
That's it is.
It is big. I'm going to actually have you make a appraise check.
Oh, I have that.
I would like to be observing as well.
Okay.
Holding the light up. I imagine I'm holding his lantern up so that he's kind of like...
Yeah. Nowhere near. So
okay. So you would just notice this looks like a nice belt.
It's worth it a lot.
Yeah, it's big. So I would say this is about the size around of like a maybe halved grapefruit, like that big around and oval shaped. There is a picture of a bucking horse on it, with what appears to be a cowboy lasso over his head. I am actually gonna have anybody who's looking at this belt buckle, go ahead and make me an education check, just straight up a no check from above.
I have appraise if it matters too.
You can make an appraise check if you choose. That is awesome.
That is
an extreme success in education.
No shit.
Extreme success for me as well.
No shit.
I rolled a 3.
Extreme success for me as well.
Wow.
I balanced it out for us. I rolled an 89.
My God. Okay.
So
and Chick with his appraise check.
It's gonna be the most useless check in the game, right? Because we all get so well.
I got a regular success on praise.
So I'm gonna say Chick first. Chick, you would realize that this belt buckle is probably worth a good amount of money. It is gold and it ain't gold plated. It is gold, and so you get the idea that it was more or less just decorative. Somebody took very good care of it. You would appraise this at somewhere probably around $25 actually, because it's big and it's gold. The rest of you, all you extreme success chuckleheads, you would notice one additional thing. You would notice that as well, that it's probably worth a lot of money. But the other thing you would notice is that this belt buckle is it's quite old. In fact, you would estimate that it's probably about 20 years old. And if you happen to look on the back of it,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we're
looking
notice
all over.
you would notice that it says Pentecost Mine. And that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll say it out loud. Anyone ever hear of that place?
I wonder if it was the previous name of this mine before Miss Loraine
Maybe.
assumed control.
I've been around for a long time and around mining businesses. Would I know this?
That's a great question. Go ahead and probably I'm going to say that that's a no check as well.
A what?
Education.
So
KNOW. I apologize.
Yeah, if it's a no check, you can't roll.
That's a new
no
thing.
check for you.
That's a no check for you.
Education.
Sorry.
Whoops. Oh, jeez. Education. That is a 14, which is a hard success.
You have never heard of a Pentecost mine.
Now, was Pentecost a religious movement at this time period?
Pentecostal movement, yes, it was. But you would
Yeah.
also know that Pentecost is a name. It is just a surname.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is. It's not as common as Smith or Jones, but it is a common surname.
Okay.
And this is written very much as like a title, a name of a mine.
She just called you common, Moses.
How does that feel, Gary? I'm just kidding.
If it was
Well, anyway.
important, I would have been listening.
Obviously. Wow. Snap. I didn't even ask for this, Kaeryn. Thanks. So Moses Jones, in your infinite wisdom, you Arcanus hands you this information about this map and this letter. What do you make of it?
Well, I reckon that someone was trying to steal this claim secretly. That the X's represent points in the mine where they presumably were digging escape tunnels. Can I get anything? I'm going to hold the pages up to the lantern. I'm going to see if there's anything that might be revealed by the bright
course.
light, whether it's
Yep. Okay, spot hidden. And go ahead, because again, you're a detective. I'm going to say make it with a bonus die.
Okay. That is a success.
Okay. So one additional thing that you notice in advantage to what in addition to what Arcanus has shown you, is that some of these X's are not X's at all. They are stars. You would notice there is one X that appears to be deep in the mine. What these men, according to this map, have reckoned as like the back of the mine. That is the X. There are other areas, several areas near that X that are actually stars, like little asterisks.
Okay. Am I able to project where we've come onto this map to get a sense of where this area might be in relation to where we are?
Absolutely. So according to this map, and like I said, you've traveled probably 2 hours. I hate to break it to you. You guys have made it probably a fifth of the way into this mine. The back of this mine is probably going to be another 8 hours, something in that ballpark. Yeah.
Great. This is going to take another day. Another day with this fine company and Colin.
And Colin. And he puffs out his chest. He's all happy that he's here. And he's like, well, there's wood right here. And he kind of like looks up and he's like, I think we'd probably be safe to make a fire.
Do you know how to make a fire?
damn right I know how to make a fire.
Well, then get
because
to it.
Says damn, he like looks at
Yeah,
Miss Williams.
Arcanus doesn't even notice. He's used to far worse. He
He
just
gives
said,
him that look.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead and get it going.
All right, and he does, and he goes over to Mr. Calloway. I'm in the mode. He goes over to Chick, and he like tugs on your sleeve. He's like, "You got a hatchet in that big bag?"
I give him a look that I can only describe as the look that Sam Elliott gives when he's just thoughtfully looking at somebody, deciding whether or not it's a good course of action. Don't say a word, and then I just reach back and I pull the hatchet out and just sort of do a little and hand it to him handle first.
He kind of sees this look that you give him, and he grabs it from you, and he goes, "Thanks." And then as he's walking away, he flips it. It does 2 flips in the air, and he catches it by the handle. Oh God! No. This kid is clearly chopped wood in his life, and he goes over and he starts making kindling, and he starts setting up a fire.
Right.
You guys wouldn't know it, but night comes on. It's probably about 8 p.m. now. I know a couple of you boys have pocket watches. So you would notice that, yeah, it's getting to be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. By the time Colin gets the fire lit, I assume you guys are kind of making camp as well as you can in this cavern. Anybody talking about anything around camp, or are you just heading to bed?
Arcanus has some samples of his health tonic, which he will gladly offer to everyone, including to Colin.
Okay.
Which he probably
Colin will gladly partake. It tastes like garbage.
Well, yeah, but he'll be out like a light. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is straight NyQuil. It tastes like cherries, but like cherry shit.
Important question, since this is
Great
the
question.
1800s.
Oh yeah.
Is there cocaine in this?
Oh yeah, this. I wrote
he
a
does
list
a
of
lot of laps around the camp, and then he's done.
It has. It's a mixture of cocaine, laudanum, brandy, and a few secret ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
It's the secret ingredients that have me worried.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am gonna say, let's see. As you kind of make unless there's anything else pressing, stop me if there is. I'm gonna say y'all make your way to bed. You eventually go to sleep. I'm gonna say I just want all of you to roll a D10.
And we get a perfect long rest.
Well, we'll see. All of you roll a D10.
4.
You got a 10.
9.
4, 8, 9.
Also
1.
9.
1.
I don't like the way you said 1.
Chick.
We got a range.
I did not like the way you somehow made 1 sound like it had an extra
What
syllable.
You say?
1. Interesting.
1.
Chick. Chick. 4 of you get a very restful night of sleep. It's been a long journey, and you are very tired after this big day you've all had. Chick, you drift to sleep and you have a dream. Your dream involves you making your way through a cave, just like this. But you are alone. As you make your way through this cave, you start to realize that this is not the Schuler silver mine at all. In fact, this cave has strange, it looks like molten metal almost. You don't know what this is, but it looks as much as you've seen of like molten gold or molten silver. It's glowing and it's red, and it looks like this glowing red sludge. You want to stop and you want to turn back, but your legs just kind of keep moving you forward. Almost like you're on like a children's ride. And the further you go in, the more this molten stuff envelops the landscape. And now you see fire as well, and flames, and stalagmites and stalactites everywhere you see. You hear screams, and they are recognizable screams. This is your wife and your daughter. They passed. How old were you probably when your family went to the illness that they went to?
I want to say it was 30 years ago.
So
I would have been in my early 30s.
mhm. You know that they did not go in a kicking and screaming way. They went to illness in a quiet and tragic and unfortunately long way. This is beyond that. They are screaming, and eventually you see them. They are on what it looks like an island in this lake of molten whatever it is. And they are clinging to each other. And you see your wife and you see your daughter as they were, whatever age they were when they died. And as they are standing there looking at you, and as they see you, they start to beg you for help, but you can't get to them. The island that they are on, this little, it doesn't look very big at all, maybe 5 feet across, is sinking. And as it sinks and as this molten stuff touches their feet, their screams reach another pitch. And then all at once, almost as if it was just clinging, both of them fall as though a trap door was dropped out from underneath them. And you wake up.
I think when I wake up, it's not the jolt awake, scream, that kind of thing. I think it's the post sleep paralysis. Every nerve ending on fire with the instinct of fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
And just rigid, eyes wide, and probably sweat just pouring down.
Go ahead and make a sanity check.
$34, that's a success.
Okay. You are going to take 7 points of sanity damage, which is good because if you had failed, it would have been 14 points of sanity damage. But this has you done shook. The rest of you guys wake up in the morning, uneventful. You obviously don't know it's morning. There is no sun. There are no roosters, but your circadian rhythm wakes you all up at a certain time. You start to stir from your sleep.
Such a restful sleep.
did we bring food in with us when we came? Or
absolutely.
Okay.
Miss Loraine would have told you this is practically a city underground, so you would
Okay.
know that the
Yeah,
trip will
yeah.
be long and expansive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
All right,
imagine
so well, as has a bag of some kind, and a lot of it's dried stuff, maybe some, a little jar of pickled eggs or whatever. But
Nice.
he'll have a few rolls of bacon in there
Salted awful.
that he'll unroll and sort of hang on a stick over the fire to sort of get sizzling.
there's
Awesome.
already coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Once I woke up, I did not go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have put coffee on, and
He's got one strip of, he's got like a little stick with one strip of bacon for each person.
You would notice that Colin actually wakes up after Chick, which if any of you have little kids, obviously they wake up at frickin' 3 a.m. and whatever. But he wakes up and he goes and he sits over, he's like, and he's trying to be like big almost, and he sits and he's like, long night. And he goes and he takes like a little cup and he asks for some coffee.
I don't even say a word. I just give him another one of those. I just imagine the one eyebrow cocked and the Sam Elliott mustache just kind of does the and I just grab that pot off the campfire and just pour some into
Oh my God, this is amazing. Also, that sound makes me have to pee. But thank you for your commitment to the character. Colin is like, thanks, and he starts drinking it, and he tries to hide it, but you would see he kind of goes like, he doesn't drink coffee. He's just trying to be a big man.
I let him take a couple of the drinks and sort of do that almost, I imagine it's that he's trying to power through, but you get that involuntary shudder because it's just so bitter. And I reach into my shirt pocket where I imagine there's probably still 4 or 5 sugar cubes that I would normally give to Eleanor Dumas. And I just take 2 of these cubes and I just bloop, bloop, bloop.
Thank you.
Arcanus will hold out his little tin cup for a hit of coffee, and he'll not hiding it from anyone. He'll take out his hip flask, and pour measure into it, and
in the same way that you
as you're putting it away,
Irish.
It's the same way you hold out your cup for the coffee. As you pull out your flask, I hold out my cup towards you.
So does Cassidy. She's like,
it's only fair. He'll put a measure in each.
I think I know the answer before I ask, but does Moses Jones partake?
He does not.
He told her. So he didn't even offer because he knows you wouldn't. But he does go to put some in Collins though.
Okay.
He's just doing 1, 2, and he
thinks it's like maple syrup. Like after the offering of sugar cubes, he's pumped.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's maple syrup, sure. So if no one stops me, I'll pour some in.
Oh yeah, she'll stop you. She'll put her hand on your arm and give you a look.
Yep.
What?
You can give me hers.
I had a little bit here and there when I was young. I mean,
not while you were exploring a mine, I am sure.
No, I think at the time I was proud. I think my parents were running a brothel. Now that I think of it,
not
what's a brothel?
Better.
Well,
your mom runs one.
Oh, it's a whorehouse.
Yes.
Well, the lower class ones of that, yeah.
Yeah.
The good ones.
Yeah. Love shack, whorehouse. I know what they are. Okay.
Kitty City.
Would you say brothel? Brothel. Is that like a nice
just shaking your head?
Okay. Fine. I won't do it. Miss Williams, would you mind grabbing that stick over there for me? And if you turn away, he'll put a little dash in and give the kid a wink.
He doesn't know what it is, but he's excited about the secret. So I'm gonna say that you guys kind of just continue on this way for maybe an hour in the morning, and then you pack up and you presumably, I guess, are we investigating the X in the back of the mine?
Well, yeah. I mean,
or are we just
Arcanus
continuing on, or what's the plan?
Arcanus hasn't looked at it since, but he'll talk to Moses. Say, you make heads or tails of that? I mean, I gather it's a map of the mine, but I'm not a map sort of person.
Yes, I made both heads and tails of it.
Good. So you know where we might be going then.
Yes, the X represents the very heart of the mine. The stars are quite likely veins to explore that the illicit silver dealers might be able to exploit without the eyes of Miss Loraine's employees upon them.
Oh, interesting. You suspect perhaps some claim jumpers might have...
Oh, most certainly. The letter indicates that quite clearly.
Yeah. That makes sense.
They allege that there's enough silver that they wouldn't even notice the missing haul. I suspect that it is quite likely they would have noticed the missing haul at some point, but at that time it would be too late. Regardless, we shall reach for the X and see what happens.
You think there's any chance we'll run into any of these nefarious fellows in here?
Hard to say. If they left a map and a letter, it seems like
And a candle burning. Don't forget that.
Someone had to have lit that
They
candle.
they mustn't be far away. He did tell him about that little sort of crawl tunnel on the other side, but he says I wouldn't recommend going back through that water though. It's it's chilly, and it's you're not gonna get anything dry on the other side, much
Yes,
less firearms.
yes, I had no interest in going there in the first place. I'm glad that you went there and discovered this for all of us. Better
My
you than me.
pleasure. My pleasure. As he pats the heavy belt buckle in his pocket.
That's the reward. That's the fruit of your labor. So eventually you guys kind of set out. And I would say probably only about 2 minutes into your journey into what appears to be forward, you would see the end of about a 3-foot tall tunnel to your left. This, if you look down in, you see what appears to be just a little bit of a flickering light inside. This appears to be the exit to the 3-foot tunnel that you saw in the dry part of the opposite thing. So that is how they got dry paper in there. Fun.
And there's still a
Gotcha.
flicker.
And there is still a flicker. It's still lit. You would notice that would actually not be odd, Arcanus, based on how much candle there was left. It's probably getting to be about its end, but it is still just barely lit.
Moses is going to point to the 3-foot tunnel, and he's going to sort of look down, and he's going to gesture to Arcane, and he's going to say, well, seems as though you could have gone this way, saved yourself the trip in the cold water.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
As these two bicker, you all continue forward. I would say you walk for about, let's say you go for about 3 hours, and you're chatting, and Colin is very excited to be here, and he's just talking to Miss Williams, and he's telling you, like, he tells you in like secret tones how he's a little bit scared of Moses Jones. He's just kind of an imposing figure. And you finally come to your first kind of choice. There appear to be several tunnels that you can choose. It looks like right now we're at about kind of like a 3-way split. So we'll say left, right, and middle. Where do you guys want to go? What do you guys want to do?
Does the map have any suggestions?
Great question. It sure does. So you would notice that to the left, there are 2 of these stars. To the middle, it looks like it's a shorter path to an opening, which in there is 1 star, but it is a shorter path. And then there is a path that's about as long, you would say, before it looks like there's another choice. And that's where you go to the left. And there is only 1 star along that path as well.
How far back is the 3-foot tunnel?
Great question. At this point, it's about a 3-hour walk.
No, the one that we passed by?
Yes.
Yeah, we
So
just
you
walked for
saw
3
it about a
hours.
minute in, and then you
Yeah.
walked, you just kind of sorry,
Oh, I
unless
see.
you wanted to take it back and
No.
say something else about the 3-foot tunnel.
Uh-uh.
Okay. Okay. In that case, it's 3 hours behind you at this point. So that is where you're at. Where do you want to go?
What do you think? I'll try to get Mr. Calloway in on this discussion too. He's the miner after all.
I'm looking at this map, and with the knowledge that Jones gave us too, I want to select whatever route seems to point towards where this X is in the middle.
Okay.
Whichever one gets us the closest.
Yes, great quest, great thought. I'm gonna say, Chick, go ahead and make an let's see. What would be your like minor? You're a prospector. What would be the most prospectory role you can make?
I have
intelligence. I know it's not like intelligence,
No,
not like
I
book
have-
smart.
Now we have to be careful because we have a miner, but we also have a miner.
I have
Wow.
You have a stat for gold.
So proud of
I
you.
have archaeology and I have natural
yeah.
world.
My side.
You have navigate.
I'm gonna say archaeology or natural world or navigate. Go ahead and take whichever one's better. And because you're an old pro, go ahead and roll it with a bonus die.
Okay. So I have a 55 in natural world.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Is that a success?
no, that's my score.
Oh,
I'm
I thought that was your
rolling.
roll. I apologize.
So a 48, let me roll the bonus die. That would have been an 88. So 48, that's a success, regular success.
Wonderful. So you would wager that probably your best bet is to go to the middle, which is this again. It's not the longest path, but it does lead to what appears to be another cavern. You would wager this is maybe only like a half an hour walk to this cavern, and it will be a good idea to check it out.
I reckon we're going to want to go this way. Chances are we might find a good spot to rest up in here.
Save point.
And take another assessment. And don't look like it's going to be too far away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give
you're the
any
expert.
indication of the reasoning for choosing that path. That's my expert opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you guys trust Chick?
Yeah. I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no reason that you would not trust Chick. That would be silly. So you guys do go down that middle path. You walk for about a half an hour, and almost on the dot, you do get to this little cavernous space. I am gonna have Cassidy go ahead and roll me a d6.
When you ask for those kind of rolls, Cari, you should try not smiling. So
It scares me.
How about you roll a d6 for me for no reason?
Roll a d6 for me. Yes.
Roll a
Nice.
d6. Yeah.
Cari's like a little kid showing you a magic trick.
Yeah.
Side note, Colin is just me this whole time. I'm like,
Pick a card. Pick a card. No, this one.
we're here. We're having an adventure.
I rolled a 6.
6. Ooh. Oh my god.
That's worse than her 1.
A 6, you say? How
Okay.
interesting.
I mean, generally, the highest and the lowest are probably going to be the worst results.
Or something- yeah,
That's
something's
not
gonna happen.
true, but a 6 is great. So here's what happens. You come into this cavern, and actually this looks like one of the less explored areas that you have seen, maybe the least explored area you've seen, because almost in a brilliant way with your headlamps and your whatever, what did you call it? The railroad, what is that called,
The
Jake?
bullseye lantern.
Bullseye lamp.
lantern,
That's
yeah.
what, yes.
Yeah.
This almost looks like a sky of stars. This ceiling is not tall. It is probably 15 feet tall, but it is flickering, glimmering, speckled with silver. And it's stunning. It's beautiful. You guys are taken aback by this room. So much so that most of you don't notice what is to the immediate right of the doorway. I'm gonna have you all make a spot hidden check. It does not need to be very super good.
I think I had too much whiskey in my coffee because I rolled a 98.
Wow. It's like, this is great. Wow, look how pretty.
That's a critical
Like-
failure.
I got a
Oh,
6. Always.
Hmm.
I got a success.
No, 27, so that's a regular success.
I got a regular success, but I'm going to spend 3 luck to make it a hard success.
So what
Wow.
are we rolling again? Sorry.
You're rolling a spot
Spot
hidden.
hidden.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Regular success.
Okay. So for those of you who failed, you are looking at this beautiful speckled sky of silvery stars. The ones who succeeded slowly notice what appears to be a person. And it is a very dead person. He is just to the right of the room. He is sitting against a wall, and he is perfectly still. There is no immediate sign of injury on him, however. What do you do?
I do
Colin,
go immediately
Hey, Colin,
to
look at
him.
I said to Colin, look at the silver way up
Wow.
As
Yes.
as Cassidy is moving forward, Moses is going to say, perhaps you should wait until we determine what killed him, lest you share his fate.
That is what I am trying to do.
All
As
right, well, carry
Cassidy's-
on then. Pretend I didn't say anything. You'll be fine.
Cassidy, by all means, are you checking this guy out?
I am. I'm not touching him yet. I'm looking at him a little bit closer. If I don't see anything after like looking at his body, then I will.
So you don't see anything on him immediately. He is perfectly still. He does appear to be dead. And are you like searching him? Is that what I'm gathering?
Does he look fresh, or does he look like he's been here a while?
He looks pretty fresh. Yeah, he.
I mean, I know this isn't like,
no
CSI Broken Branch, but
I totally understand. No, he looks like he died of a bullet wound.
It could be, I guess,
2.5 hours ago.
I would have like if his head is against the wall, I will, put my hand behind it, see if maybe he was.
As soon as you touch him, he reaches up and grabs your wrist, and he is staring at you with these wild eyes, and he is just going, unum solum, unum solum, unum solum, unum solum, and then he like skitters away from you, almost like a crab-like motion, and he skitters away from you, and he's looking at all of you now, unum solum, all of them, all of them, and he is just he's frantic. He is not.
If anyone is near Arcanus, they'll notice that he suddenly has these two knives in his hands. You have no idea where they came from.
Yeah.
and he's immediately sort of in a defensive position. Like as soon as this guy reacted and started, talking, he was like, he immediately has knives in his hands.
And you look at this guy, and his eyes, you can tell in your headlamps, and I assume you're all looking at him, so all headlamps are on this guy. His eyes are this brilliant blue, and then all of a sudden he blinks and they are black, and he turns to the wall, and you start hearing a voice that does not sound like his voice did a few seconds ago, and it's just saying, Solus unis effugit tenebras, solus unis effugit tenebras, solus unis effugit tenebras. And as he is facing the wall, all of a sudden you hear a horrific crack as he turns back to face you, but only his head. The rest of his body stays right where it is. You get the feeling that he just broke his own neck. And one last time he says, Solus unis effugit tenebras. And then he drops like a rag doll. I'm gonna have y'all make a sanity check.
I'm just gonna blurt out, 50. Well, that shit's fucked.
I made Jake say the F word. I made Jake say the F word. I'm so proud of myself.
I got a 3.
Hang that on the fridge.
I got a 3 on my.
So succeeded.
91.
Oh no.
You rolling not, you're not supposed to be rolling in the 90s, right?
I know, right? These are my new dice too, so
okay. If you succeeded, for those of you who succeeded, you take 11 points of sanity damage.
What a success.
For those of you who failed, you take 20.
So I rolled a 5, so I succeeded, but I have also got the skill hardened. It's my talent.
Oh, that's right.
Which means I ignore sanity point loss from attacking other humans, viewing horrific injuries, or the deceased.
We will say that counts. So there you go. All right. So you're going to take, so you succeeded and you have that feat?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say you only take 5 points of sanity damage. You take a quarter of what the worst of it was. He appears now to be very, very dead. His head is going the wrong way. It is facing his spine.
He's not only
real. You guys all turn. You guys all turn. And you notice that Colin has seen all of this. And his eyes are like saucers. And he's like, and he just looks over at Cassidy, and he like kind of takes your hand, and you can feel that he is just shaking from his boots all the way to his hand.
I actually will pull him right into a hug and give him the most comforting hug that I could possibly give him.
And he just pulls away from you a little bit, and he has tears streaming down his I will get to you in a minute, Dwight. I see it. Yes. He has tears streaming down his eyes. He's like, I don't want to be here anymore. We need to go.
By the way, I'm going to spend luck to half my sanity loss.
Perfect. I love it. Yes.
Oh, I can do that. Then I'm doing
Oh.
that for sure. I mean, I'll still get.
Yeah,
some
no,
sort
you
of-
have
How
to-
much
you
luck
spend,
do you need to spend?
You have
I
to
have to
spend
spend it-
double the.
That's
spend
fine.
double the luck, double the sanity point loss in luck.
Correct.
But then you half your sanity. points.
Gary, if you failed, you took 20. If you succeeded, you took 11. I know.
Yeah, you can do that. You can spend half your luck.
And you can spend.
Yeah.
You can spend.
Well, no,
Double-
not half your luck. You
double.
spend.
Double luck.
Yeah, you have to spend double
to
whatever your
have
sanity loss
the-
was going to be. You have to double that in luck to half your sanity loss.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Colin is crying and looking at you with these pleading eyes, Cassidy, hoping to God you say yes, let's go. But what do you say?
I don't actually say anything. I just hold him tight.
Mm-hmm. What do the rest of you do?
I don't know. You tell me.
I t-
It's, Moses Jones is gonna look at the now backwards corpse, and he's gonna say, sometimes when you look into the darkness looks back.
You know that's not actually helpful, right?
Can I use
Who
that?
has-
Can
who
I
has
use
the
that line
map?
in one of my novels?
Who has the map right now? Was it Arcanus or was it Moses?
No, it would have been. I assume it would have been
Moses.
Moses. Yeah.
Moses, I'm actually going to say that you just see this. You take a look at the map because you're a very calculated thinker. Obviously, this has been horrific, but your first instinct as a detective is always to make a plan, to figure out where the next step is. So I imagine you pull out the map. And the map looks different to you than it did only about 15 minutes ago. The tunnels, even where you've been, do not look the same at all. It looks like almost like it's an entirely different map. There aren't as many stars where there should be silver. The X is in a different place. The entrance, it looks like it's a different distance away. It's a different direction. This map has, to your best reckoning, changed. And you are hopelessly lost. And that is where I think we are going to end our second session of The Darkness Outside of Brokenbranch. Thank you guys.
Yeah, good to end on a snapped neck demon person.
Yeah.
On
a
a
high note.
It's all good.
high
Yeah.
note, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Positive
Absolutely.
part of it.
I hope
Happy
you guys
Niners,
had
everyone.
fun. I hope you guys had fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. This
Yeah.
is
Oh,
always
yeah.
such a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway,
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to be staying
you're
up for a
welcome.
couple hours.
And the hellscape dream. Let's not forget
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
At least there
Um,
wasn't hands.
Yeah, there was
We've-
no hand stuff.
Yet is the key
Yet.
word.
Yeah,
Yet.
yet.
So
That should have been on the that should have been on the belt buckle.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. Of course, we will be back next month for the third and final session of The Darkness Outside of Brokenbranch. Rest assured, we are already making plans for the new year and a new Mythos
New
tale.
keeper.
If we have anything left after Cari is taking her inaugural stab at damaging our psyches. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night for the Dawnbringers. And of course, you can catch us on Mondays for Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries with myself, Dwight, Gary, and Cari. And you can catch me and Dwight and Kaeryn and some other friends this coming Tuesday for our next session of Descent into Avernus, the Road Warriors of Hell.
Hell yeah.
By our incredible
Hell yeah, I
DM.
said. Did you guys hear me?
By our
That's
incredible
pretty funny.
DM Vi. Otherwise, yeah, thanks everybody who tuned in. Thanks for the subs and the gift subs and bits and all that good stuff. We, as we get out of here, are going to send y'all on over to, again, just because I've been doing a lot of painting of miniatures and terrain, it's got me thinking about that stuff again. So we are going to send a raid over to our good friend Dr. Faust's painting clinic in just a few moments. So thank you again to everybody who watched. Thank you to everybody in chat. If you're somebody who likes to use that lurk function and lurk quietly in the shadows, thank you so much. We appreciate you just as much. And thank you so much to our keeper, Cari, and to our investigators who joined me, Gary, Alex, Kaeryn, and Dwight, without whom this would have just been Cari talking to herself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.